so much for joining us for the first, the launch of the For Her chat show this evening. Please feel free to comment, share any views as we go along. Right, okay, let me just see if we can get Claire and there we go. We are just getting them online now, we hope. We cannot see their faces. Can you hear us?
Hello.
Hello.
Oh, hang on.
We
Hello.
can't see your face, unfortunately, so we're just dealing with the technical issues. Here we go. I'm new to live, and I'm sure a lot of people are as well. So we'll just right. Okay, I see Julia. Hi, Julia.
Hi.
Right, we're getting there. We are getting there slowly but surely. Oh, Debbie's coming on now, so it just takes a few moments just to get us all sorted and sorry for my vacant face, everybody. Trying to sort. Well, Julia's here anyway. We've got Claire, can you hear us?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. We just can't see your beautiful face at the moment.
Oh, dear. Is there anything I need to do?
You might need to click on start video on your
have you got
screen,
a video? Yeah.
Where will I find that?
bottom left.
Oh, see, Julia's the techno whiz here, look.
No, it just says leave meeting, which I don't think you want me to do.
Oh, right. So is that on the right?
Oh, yes.
Go to the left. You should see mute, and you might have next to it a video camera, which might say.
I've just got the mute.
Oh. Have you got anything on your screen, Serena?
No, I'm giving it a go. This is all good fun, isn't it? Let's Claire's on here. What I want to do is I want you to promote you all to host so that you're able to see your beautiful faces. But for some reason, Debbie can't even get on, which is really, really strange. So how about we just kick off, and while I'm kind of techno whizzing behind the scenes here, so hello everyone, thank you ever so much for joining us. So a few people starting to log in now, so that's great. You've joined us on the first For Her chat show, which is really exciting, about New Year, New You. So we're basically talking to a couple of guests that are coming on the show and speaking about their experiences, their views on the topic New Year, New You. So Julia, if you wouldn't mind just kicking off for us and just telling us sort of a bit about you, what you do, family life, anything you really want to share, just so the audience get to know you, and then I hopefully will try and work out the techno stuff in the meantime. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
Fabulous. So shoot, it's lovely to have you here.
Right, hi everybody, and thanks Serena for having me. It's a great opportunity to join you, especially as this is the first one. I'm Julia Duncan. I'm a family, pet and commercial photographer based in Beccles, or just outside of Beccles. I have a beautiful 4.5-year-old who keeps me on my toes, and one very badly behaved beagle. Who is essentially my second child, really, if I'm completely honest. The reason that joining this evening really appealed for me is not only just because I've been involved in a number of things that Serena's done, and I know that she does these sorts of things very well, but also because 2017 for me was not a good year. We suffered a bereavement unexpectedly. My husband lost his father. I was really ill over the summer. And by the time I got to the end of 2017, I was very pleased to see the back of it, and was determined that 2018 was not going to be the same, that I wanted to look after myself better, and that I wanted to set goals for myself far better than I had done last year. So I think the whole topic of New Year, New You is something that really resonates with me going into 2018, albeit that January seems to have disappeared already, and we're going into February.
It's crazy. Absolutely crazy. Yeah, well, that definitely. I know a lot of people in the same situation. They had a real, excuse my language, but totally shitty year last year, and basically they just wanted to see the back of it. But I mean, for me personally, I think we set this sort of unrealistic view that New Year, New Year, and New You will be sort of, you leap over from the 31st of December to the 1st of January, and suddenly your whole life is going to be like resolved, and all of your issues from last year are going to be totally gone. Which obviously, was that your sort of view on it, or
no? Because I think I'm very much aware of the fact that if you're good, so things like changing new habits take several weeks to implement, and I think, and you read so often that people say they don't stick to their New Year's resolutions, I think because they do have unrealistic expectations. And I think I was very clear to myself that if there were things I was going to change this year, I couldn't do them all in one go. So, the first thing that we've tackled is planning our meals better. So every Sunday we sit down, we plan what we're going to have for our meals during the week. We put them up on a menu thing on the fridge. We do our shopping order for the week, and that we've managed to do that for the last 3 weeks. So that's one sort of really new habit that we've brought in. I haven't quite got around to exercising yet, but that's fine because I've been trying to sort little things out one at a time rather than trying to do them all in one go.
Yeah. So would you say that you feel better now you've come into the new year, or?
I do, because I think it was just a good opportunity to start with a clean slate and just say, right, last year's done. Let's just get some new habits and some new ways of thinking in 2018. I know not everybody sees it like that, and maybe some people will think, well, why does it have to be the start of a new year? But for me, that's what works, to kind of draw a line on under last year and just focus on this year. And, there's some things that I take as learnings from last year, but do you know what? It's done now. It's in the past. Move on. No.
Yeah. Claire, you are with us, but you're obviously hidden, so we can hear your lovely voice anyway.
I did just try and get myself on video, but I'm not quite sure what happened. So.
Okay. Well, this was always going to be one of those trial runs being the launch. I think it was always going to be one of those where Debbie's put on the chat help. So
oh, bless her.
Hopefully I will try and sort it out in a moment, because I'm frantically behind the scenes here trying to click away, but basically it's telling me to go away. So I've had internet problems tonight before we've now come on, so literally I don't want to test my luck too much, but hopefully if we can get you just giving your perspective on New Year, New You. So basically, if you just want to give us a little intro into yourself, obviously, just say a little bit about yourself. By the way, Claire looks absolutely stunning this evening, as she always does. And
bless you.
I can't see her at the moment. So, although she did, am I allowed to say you were in your pajamas about an hour ago? Or
20 minutes ago.
Oh. Right, so if you wouldn't mind just introducing yourself.
Of course.
We can see your beautiful name on the screen. But, we'll get there. We will get there. This is like, so if you go from there, and then I'll frantically click away again while I'm listening. Okay?
No worries at all. Right. Yeah, I just want to say hello to everybody, and thanks ever so much for tuning in to us this evening, and a huge thank you to Serena for inviting me to speak on the show tonight, especially as it's the launch. I feel very honoured. So just to let you know a little bit about me, I'm a personal stylist and an image consultant, and my main mantra in life really is to get women to look as good on the outside as they feel on the inside. I'm not about fashion, I'm all about style, and the most important thing that I really work with is people's personalities and making sure that look is right for you and your lifestyle. And one of my thoughts of New Year, New You is, well, why do you need to change if you're already gorgeous?
Oh no.
Well, no, never ever change who somebody is, and I just think that it's really, really important to feel good about who you are, and to, you know, just I don't know how to describe it. People do want to change and they do want to do things, and that's absolutely great. But there's this thing of like, when you feel good, you know, or when you look good, you feel good. But equally, when you feel good, you actually appear so much more confident and so much more sparkly, that the beauty from within shines out. And that's really what I want to sort of help women with. And I had a tough year last year too, and you know, there were times, you know, and I just thought, oh, it's so hard to get out of bed, it's so hard to, especially in my job, you know, sort of walk the walk as well as talk the talk. And if you had seen me 20 minutes ago with my pajamas,
I bet you they're really glamorous pajamas though.
no, they're really not. They don't even match. They don't even match. Seriously.
One of those really full-length nighties, is it? Oh, it's a shame we can't get you on camera, because we'd have made you go get it and put it on.
I have just let you know, I have just got a little thing up saying start video, but I can't start it because the host has stopped it.
Oh, okay.
Well, you, Serena.
Sorry. Well, I've changed you as host. Can you do it now?
No, it says I'm host now, but I can't.
Go away.
Never mind. That's fine.
I don't know what is going on with this.
Don't you worry, my darling.
Oh,
Don't you worry.
Technology at its best, you see. I'm just hoping poor Debbie can get on, because obviously she's got so much to share, bless her. So I'm just going to have a look now at the to see if we've got any comments going on. So hello there, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in to our first, yay! Even though it's a little bit technically, you know, we've got a few barriers there, shall we say, technically there. But so hello, Laurie. She says, New Year, New You is mostly a critical way to exploit post-Christmas guilt and cash in on it. What do you think to that then, ladies? What do you think to that comment? I
think that's actually a really good point in the fact that...
Sorry, go on, Claire. Sorry, I was just agreeing with you. Sorry.
No, go on. You go away. You go ahead.
No. It's fine. Carry on. I was literally, as you were saying.
Okay then. No, I was just thinking. I understand what you're saying, because there is a lot of expectation. I think exactly as Serena said. You know, from it's the 1st of January, therefore this year is going to be this year is going to be that. And I'm sure this is one of the things that Debi would encourage as well, is that, you know, if you want to make those changes, why wait to that first of the year, and why put yourself under so much pressure and to do things exactly as Julia said earlier on, all at the beginning of the year, whether it be, you know, January, or even if you wait till February. But one of the things I personally prefer to do is wait till the days are a bit cheerier. You know, when spring starts springing, it makes you feel so much nicer, and that sort of, for me, will encourage me to do more. But equally, you know, already this year I've been, you know, I've got a big birthday coming up at the end of May, and I'm like, I need to sort of get myself all prepped and ready for that, and I'll start in January.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it is that thing though, where people, you know, you sort of almost, I know for me personally, I mean, my mum will say I'm terrible because I'm so naughty when it comes to chocolate and booze and whatnot. I'm really, you know, every well-being person I speak to, you know, when I say I don't really go for a vegetable, technology gods are with us. Yeah, I eat so badly, but I justify it as, right, okay, come January I will do all this fitness and stuff. I mean, what are we, the 29th of January, and I mean, I'm still eating the leftovers from Christmas, so you know, but I use that as a kind of like Laurie said, that, you know, so I could kind of justify eating the rubbish over Christmas. So yeah.
And you think, it's only Christmas, it's only a couple of days, it can't do me that much harm. Yeah. And I think
my Christmas is November to like the end of January, you see. That's the problem.
Oh, it's short then. Mine's January to December.
Brilliant.
Oh, What do you think then, Julia, on
Was
that?
the question partly around whether or not people cash in on it? Was that?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Of course it was. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, because I think this is the thing. I know I got quite frustrated. You know, my Facebook timeline was just full of people trying to sell crazy diets, and you get all these gyms, don't you, that advertise kind of cut price memberships, knowing that people will go for the first few weeks and then won't continue going. So but then I guess you can't blame these companies for kind of preying on people that they know won't stick to New Year's resolutions.
After Christmas, you've got the toy adverts and the clothing adverts, and that I suppose it's the same sort of thing, really. But I don't know in terms of like New Year, New You, also the guilt thing, but also then it also makes you really depressed, I think, as well, because I know with me this year, I tried not to anyway, do the whole, I can eat what I want and then in the new year, because I know that come January or by this time in the year, I'm literally like, I've done nothing, and I'm still the weight I said I was or whatnot, and I haven't done any exercise, and then you go from guilt to being really down about it, I think. And
I think it's not. The trouble is, January is not a very nice time of year, is it? It's cold, it's wet, it's miserable. The days are long, it's dark. Whereas, in some ways you're far more likely to kind of maybe go and get some exercise and eat better in the summer when it's longer days. You're out in the sunshine. So I think it's unusual to meet somebody who's 100% chirpy in January, because it's not a nice time of year.
I think for me as well, though, it wasn't just about sort of like the physical elements. I've been meaning to really get on top of like my business planning, and it's like, right, I'm going, and I got as far as creating a spreadsheet, all right, of what I was going to post each week and how I was going to write about it. But instead of filling that with the topics that I was going to think about, and straight away, someone asked me topics, they can come off the top of my head, bish, bash, bosh. But as soon as I have to actually write them down, I'm like, oh, I don't know what to write about. So I've spent, and this is God's honest truth, 3 weeks making my spreadsheet look pretty.
And that is the thing, though. It causes that procrastination, doesn't it? Yeah. You kind of think, in the new year, I'll do that. And then when it gets to the new year, you're like, oh, no, I actually have to do this now. Whatever it may be, maybe like a life goal or, your business or something like that. And then you're like, oh, no, it's the 1st of January. I should be doing that now.
Yes, I should, isn't it?
But I don't actually want to be doing that. And that's not, so it's kind of like that. It's causing you to procrastinate. I think it's the same with you say, oh, by next year I want to do this, rather than just saying I'm going to do it. You think, oh, well, I've got a few months or I've got like a year, because you're not then committing to it, rather than going, I'm going to do that now and just do it.
No, that makes perfect sense. I mean, one of the things, I did write a blog at the beginning of the year, and I didn't want to jump on the bandwagon of the new year, no pun here, new year, new you sort of thing. I wanted it to be about being who you already are. And one of the things I put in this blog was saying to ladies, the amount of times when you'll say, oh, you'll reward yourself with perhaps a new dress or a new this or a new that, whatever it may be, or you might visit somewhere if you reach that goal. Why don't you give yourself the reward first? Why don't you just do that thing that's going to make you happy?
Yeah.
Don't punish yourself for not doing it. Just do it anyway.
Yeah.
And it's going to make you feel so much better about yourself. I don't mean go and spend oodles of money on loads and loads of clothes. I don't mean that, but even if it's just, I'll go, I don't know, shopping to London, or I'll go and see a show, or just go and do those things, and just, how is that going to make you feel? It's going to make you feel fantastic.
Yeah.
It's almost like an adult reward chart.
Yes.
Like you achieve, I mean, like for me, one of the things that really worked this year is that I've done a vision board, both for my personal life and also for the business, and put some crazy ideas on that, but broken that down into smaller things. And I've kind of said, well, okay, if I achieve this by the end of February, then I'm going to go and get myself something small, but just something that I really want, and just to try and encourage me to work a little bit harder and to procrastinate a lot less.
But why don't you just give yourself those things anyway?
I think it's the way I work.
You see, basically,
that horrible guilt comes in of like,
Yeah.
you know, and maybe that's partly, you know, when you run your own business as well, is that thing of, you know, if you don't, you've got to have earned something to then be able to go and spend it, kind of thing. It's,
yeah, no, I do know what you mean. I was just trying it from a different way this year, of just thinking, mate, you know, all this, if I do this, then I'll do that. And actually a lot of my clients might say to me, oh, if I can lose, I don't know, a stone or half a stone, then I will treat myself to a nice dress. And it's like, well, do you know what? Put that nice dress on now, in the size that you are now. You're going to feel so much nicer about yourself in that nice dress. And, you know, you can appear...
Do you know what? That's a really good point, actually, because I think last year when I was getting quite down about the fact that I'd not made any efforts to lose weight and everything, and I kept saying, well, I'm not going to go and buy myself any nice clothes until I've lost weight. And then there was a really good sale on a favourite shop. I thought, sod it, and went and bought myself 3 new dresses and just thought, why am I, you know, I haven't done anything about it. And actually, if I buy myself something of reasonable quality, then if I do lose weight, I'll sell it on eBay, you know, and get some money back. And and very much took that attitude.
And how did it feel when you wore it?
Brilliant. And, you know, that it's, you know, I've got 3 dresses that I wear kind of on rotation now. You know, and that is a really good point, because, you know, I've been the same weight for 2 or 3 years and not done anything about it. So, you know, how long do you keep saying to yourself, oh, I'm not going to buy myself that?
And when you find something that, sorry, Serena.
Go on.
No, I was just say, when you do find something that makes you feel fantastic, it just lifts your energy, and therefore it lifts how you react around other people. They react differently and more positively to you, and it becomes like this cycle that you're just thinking, do you know what? It doesn't matter in your mind the way you're carrying yourself. You've lost that weight or whatever, because it doesn't matter. That weight isn't holding you down anymore, because you feel good, and it's just such a lovely thing to see. And I'm really glad you shared that, Julia, because it's a lovely thing to hear. So well done you.
The other good point there, isn't it, is that sometimes you forget those little things that you've done that made you feel good, don't you? Because you will dwell on the negative things and the things that have gone badly, and then forget. I've got a new diary for this year, which is brilliant, because it's got a little space on it where at the end of each week you can write a highlight
nice.
from that week. And I thought, you know, I will quite often get to the end of the year and think, I can't think of any, you know, I can't think of that many nice things that happened. I thought, well, at the end of this year, I'll be able to go back through that diary and see 52 weeks of something nice, however small, that's happened during that week. And I know from
hello, Debbie, it's Serena. Hello, Serena. I've just got Debbie on the phone because she can't.
Cunning plan.
Debbie, do you want to just say hello to see if everyone can hear you?
Hello.
Can everyone hear
Debbie?
you? Yeah, if I just put her nearer speakery bit and turn you up, you're as high as we can go, so we can hear you. And I'm just going to ask, if you just say who you are, Debbie, and what you do, and then I'll just check it. Can people in the comments just give us a thumbs up or tell us that they can hear Debbie, because obviously we're sort of telling technology to screw them and basically trying to bypass it. So if you just say who you are, Debbie, and what your perspective on the chat so far is, that would be amazing.
Okay. Hello, everyone. The joys of technology and all that. I'm Debi Haden, and I'm a personal and professional development coach. I work in Norfolk, but I work with clients via Skype, telephone, all over the world, which is really exciting and lovely to be involved in sort of people's life changes, really. My perspective on the new year is very much that there is a lot of pressure, I think, on the 1st of January for people to go off and create all these wonderful goals and try and achieve all the things they want to achieve in the year ahead. And whilst I embrace aspects of that in terms of, you know, it's positive that people want to work towards goals and, you know, aim towards dreams that they have and that kind of thing, I'm very much that people can start goals at any time. of the year. It doesn't have to be on the 1st of January. Myself, for instance, I am not a January starter. I'm still in hibernation mode in January. I'm one of these people that I like to, be wrapped in a blanket and, planning the rest of my year. But I'm not somebody who has a lot of get up and go and, want to create, go out running and do everything else in January. I'm somebody who kind of comes alive in spring. So what I talk to clients about is finding their time, as it were. So if something feels right to start working on it, don't wait. Do it at that point. I think I caught a bit of the video that Julie was saying about, there's a lot of pressure on us to make changes in January and be the best we can possibly be. And I don't necessarily buy into the new you person, because I think within us all we have lots of positive aspects and lots of positive things about us, and often it's tweaking we work on, and we're very good, particularly as women, of not celebrating the good things that we have in our lives and about ourselves. So, my perspective is very much that it's about embracing what you already do, what you have and who you are, and building on that and working on things that really mean something to you. And kind of what I mean by that is that comes down to working on things for the right reason. So I always say, do things that make your heart sing, for instance. Don't do things just because you feel you should.
Yeah.
I'd like to take the word should out of everybody's vocab, to be honest. So, for me, it is about, celebrating what you have already, what you're good at. I'm sure Claire's thought very much about, making the most of who you are and just bringing out those aspects. But not beating yourself up if you don't have hundreds of goals to start the new year with, really.
Absolutely.
Very easy, and that's important, really, that we see ourselves as individuals in all of this.
Yeah, I'm just reading the comments while you're chatting there, Debbie. I totally agree with you. I think a lot of the people who are watching do at the moment. Angie says that giving yourself permission to be whatever you need to be at that time,
absolutely.
And that reduces the guilt and pressure. And I think that's true. I think that, like I was saying before we came on here live, I think social media has a lot to play on that, and the media in general, because I think we have so many of these shoulds. We see our friends and family who are doing really well, and they might have just got a promotion, or they might look fabulous with a new hairstyle for their new you. And I kind of think we see all this stuff, and we don't even know we're consuming it, and then basically guilt on ourselves into what we should be. And I think that the new year, sort of that leap, maximises that, really, doesn't it? Because that basically we kind of feel like you said, you worry that if you don't have any goals, that oh no, I should have goals because everyone else has got all these amazing things. I had
absolutely. And this isn't about saying don't work for things if that's what you really want to do. But what we know is gym membership goes up in January, and so does the sales of chocolate go down in January. But it goes up again in February, and gym membership drops off in February. So sometimes people are doing things because they think they should, without looking at the bigger picture of, what is it?
Why?
I've spent years attempting to join the gym in January, and a few years ago I realised that actually I'm not somebody who enjoys the gym. I like swimming, I like Pilates, I like walking. And so for me, it's about really engaging with your goals. And even if you work towards one thing during that year that means something to you, that's absolutely fine. And I do get quite uptight about the media in how they present us working towards things. I know I looked in a lot of magazines in December, and it was very much, you know, have the perfect Christmas, have the perfect roast dinner, you know, Christmas dinner, wear the perfect black dress. And particularly as women, the word perfection hangs over us quite often.
Yeah.
And I do get really uptight about that, because what does perfection mean anyway?
Yeah.
You know, and we can strive towards that. And we are in danger of that, because, you know, like you said, we see lots of things on Facebook that people show what they want you to see.
Yes.
I mean, I'm a coach, and I know sometimes it can impact on me. You know,
I think it impacts on you without even knowing it, though. That's the scary thing.
I mean,
you know?
I know it can change my mood. And I talk to many of my clients, and one of the things I talk to those who are maybe going through challenges or are suffering with depression or anxiety is take yourself away from social media to some extent. You know, don't live your life around it, because what you are doing is you're living other people's perceived lives.
Yeah, I agree.
Your own. And, you know, I've had probably the worst 2 years of my life. I mean, I'm looking after my mum who has dementia, and it would be very easy for me to look at what I've had going on for the last 2 years and feel that I've not maybe achieved the big goals that I maybe would have set myself out to do. But sometimes what we need to do is, one of the things I encourage people to do, and I do, is practice gratitude. And I think if we can start focusing on the now, what we have now, and what we can be grateful for, and we can feel comfortable with ourselves on an everyday basis, and enjoy and notice the smaller things in life.
Yeah.
The bigger things, when they happen, are fabulous, but we don't have to live for those.
No.
I think that's one of the things that I learned, Debbie, a little while ago, was somebody suggested to me about having a little notebook by the side of my bed, so that every evening when I go to bed, I write kind of 3 things, however small, in that book that have happened that day. And, you know, it's not hard to think of 3, and quite often I think of a lot more. And it does really help you appreciate the little things.
It's really isn't it? Because when you you know, when people might say, oh, they've got the dooms and glooms, and they're like, oh, everything's wrong, and it's like, only when you break that down, how many things actually are wrong. And so sort of, for example, with the women I work with, I'll say, I really try to focus very much on the positive, and I was like, look, you need to tell me at least 4 things you like about yourself, and only 1 that you're not so keen on. And they're like, but it's everything, I want to change everything. It's like, really? Would you really swap your gorgeous smile for a waist that was an inch thinner? No.
I think that's the case, whereby you look at yourself and you only ever see the negatives. You know, you never stop to look at, you know, even tonight, for example, you know, we were having technical issues, and there was me, you know, not thinking about all the great stuff that's going on, kind of like, oh no, I've got internet, not got internet, like kind of everything's over, you know. And I think you do when it's yourself, whereas when you look at other people, and I think that's where, because Karen's put here about that's why HBB, which is her business group, the group we have here in Norfolk for business women, but that's what it does for a lot of the members there, is everyone's a support. And I think support is it's about who you surround yourself with, and you know, how, because they'll lift you up. You know, if you're having a really bad time, you know, they'll lift you up. And I think, you know, for those who you know, are thinking they're having a really tough time, or they're so negative, the people you surround yourself with then sort of lift you up and help you with that.
And also vice versa with that, though, don't you sometimes thinking that, you know, and I practiced this last year, actually. Sort of, I had a big something happened to me last year. I lost a dear friend, and it really put a lot into perspective for me, and it made me realise that actually, no, I do want to surround myself with the people that actually make me feel good about myself. You know, when you've been in somebody's company and you come away and you might not have actually done anything special, but you come away feeling better than you did before you went there.
Yeah.
Well, it's proven to relieve stress, isn't it? That to surround yourself with, you know, social contact with people you get on with, but whatever you witter away about, has a really positive impact.
And I know a lot of people sort of go through this thing of sort of getting people off, you know, they say, oh, I'm going to have a Facebook cull. And I've never done that. I've never felt the need to actually have a cull. And you find that sometimes people come into your lives at different times, don't they? So, you know, there's somebody that you're going to get benefit from, and hopefully you'll benefit them back in the same way, and you'll give some benefit to somebody.
Yeah.
And it might be that you then don't speak to them for 6 months. And it's not because you don't want to or don't like them. It's just, you know, your energies have moved on somewhere else. Yeah. And
I think if I can cut in there, if that's okay, Claire, because just what I think of it, I think that's what we were saying, going back to this kind of new year, new you thing of, if you kind of always think that, you know, I only look for opportunities come that January when it's like the new me, then throughout the year, what are you then doing? Are you then putting barriers up to when opportunities come along, people contact you? Do you then say no more? Because obviously, do you know what I mean? That's kind of, because I think a lot of people do, they kind of set up that, okay, right, come January, I'm going to say yes to everything. And then by like February, they're absolutely exhausted. And they're like, do you know what, for the rest of the year, I'm not going to bother. And, you know, they then kind of almost go backwards, and they're not motivated to then do anything the rest of the year because they've set up these false expectations. I know Jean has put on the comments about, just get back to the screen there, she's saying, when trying for perfection, you're setting yourself up to fail. And that's right, Jean, really. Are you then setting yourself up to fail for that year because you're not then going to be more open to opportunities for people you meet throughout the year?
And what is
I think as well, Serena, what happens is people don't go forward with things because they feel they're not good enough to do those things, they don't feel they're confident enough, or they care what other people think. And I think people miss out on opportunities sometimes because they worry about how they're going to be perceived, or, you know, whether it's the right thing for them to do. And sometimes we have to take a leap of faith and just
go for that.
Oh, I've got you on Zoom, Debbie.
Oh, have you?
Awesome. I'll hang up on you. Don't think I'm being rude, but we've got you there. So, hello, you all right?
Hello.
I don't know. The technology gods are playing ball. Okay.
There you go. How weird is
Please
that?
just be nice to us, please. But so we're getting there. Sorry, I interrupted you. Go on.
No, that's fine. No, I was just saying that, you know, sometimes if we just, there's a number of times in my life when, even as a coach.
Oh,
Hello.
Sorry, I'm just playing around behind the scenes here. So
Oh, okay.
I'm trying to get your video up, you see,
Oh,
so we can kind of.
Have you got a video icon at the bottom, Debbie?
Have I? Yes, I have.
Press that.
Yay!
Now that I have an eye infection.
Should have gone for that eye patch. Just
I know.
saying.
Do you know what? That could have been my new look, couldn't it, for the new year?
Yeah.
New you.
I am. This is my look, you see. I'm going for that. I promised I'd wear the crown, but I do feel I keep forgetting I'm wearing it. And the thing is, I'll go out with it on, and then my husband will be like, "What you got that on your head for?"
Serena, I don't believe you love wearing it.
I stand in the mirror for hours, like, yes, queen. No, it's the closest I'm going to get. Sorry, Debbie, we really rudely
No, it's good. What I was saying was that, you know, there's been a number of times through my life where I've hesitated doing something because I worried about how I might be perceived, or whether I could do it, whether I was capable or not. And actually, when I've taken that leap of faith, it's been really good experience. And so many women who I work with are in that place. They stop themselves doing things because they worry about how they're going to look, how they're going to be perceived. And we do worry too much about how other people view us. So, the one thing I would say probably for this year is maybe if you don't do any goals, take one leap of faith and do something that you want to do but scares you, rigid, and just do it. And, once you step over that barrier, sometimes it's such a feeling of elation, when you do something that perhaps you would think you'd never do.
Really interesting, because exactly like you say, just do it anyway. It's almost that phrase, isn't it? Feel the fear and do it anyway. And like I was saying earlier on, I've got a big birthday coming up, and so I thought, right, this is the year I'm going to do X, Y, and Z. This is the year I'm going to get over my fear of heights and do go ape. But why this year? Do you know what I mean? Why can't I have just done it anyway?
Yeah. Well, I suppose that comes back to the New Year, New You thing. Kind of, it's almost that having that date, whatever it may be, in a birthday or a big milestone or it's good to celebrate these things by doing crazy things, admittedly, but is that again an excuse just to procrastinate and not do it? That's the thing. So
yeah. I really liked what Julia was saying about in her little diary that she's got that thing of at the end of each week to highlight the good points, and he also said about the notebook. And I've got a little jar, and it started off when I had my son. He's 9 now, and because I suffered really badly from postnatal depression, and I made a point of just putting in that, even just 1 or 2 things each day that did make me smile, that it wasn't all bad, and then and I've continued to fill up these jars, and I've still got them all. And but now I now do it for little things that I want to give thanks for, or just something small. The other day I came down the stairs and there's my son sitting there in my red beret with a polka dot fan fanning himself, as if it's the most natural thing in the world. And I had to write that down because I don't ever want to forget that moment. And it brought me so much joy in that. Do you know what I mean? And it's not just children that do that. I don't mean that, but it's those little things, isn't it? If someone says something really funny, write it down so you can look back at that moment. And it's.
I think that's a good point, because sorry, Debbie, to cut in there. I forgot last year. I sat there on New Year's Eve, as you do. My daughter playing some sort of weird game, which I'm not. This year was a little bit like, how am I celebrating New Year's Eve? I'm not entirely sure what's going on here. We're playing some sort of game, but me and my husband sort of kept looking at each other with really severe confusion. But anyway, that besides, I sat there and I thought, all I could think of was the bad things that had happened in the year. I could not think. I was trying, and I couldn't actually remember stuff that had happened a few months before, let alone like earlier in the year. So I suppose that goes back to that of, at least you can get them out and sort of have a look and see what things have gone well. Because we do forget, don't we?
And I think that's a very good point. So, I look back on 2017 and think, I hate it. I was glad to see the back of it. But that's one thing that I didn't do, was I didn't write down anywhere. I didn't have a record of kind of those nice things that had happened in 2017, which is one of the things that I wanted to be different about this year, so that I could look back and just go, well, okay, a few not so good things happened, but actually hundreds of really nice things happened.
They've actually done quite a lot of research now about if you practice an attitude of gratitude, it does improve mental well-being. And it's one of the first things I get my clients to do, particularly people who are really suffering with really bad depression, is to start their gratitude either jar or their journal. Because even if you can find one thing a day to feel that's been positive or you're grateful for, what it starts to do, it starts to train your brain to look for the positives. And if you're doing 3 and 5 a day, your brain then automatically will start to look for the positive. And exactly that, I had exactly that feeling, Julia, on New Year's. I thought, this has not been a great year, but when I look back at the things I'd actually achieved and what I'd done, I thought, actually, yes, I've not managed the big goals. My life had been a little bit limited by my situation, but actually what I'd been able to do was look at the very small things that had happened. And that could be people around you. It could be, just seeing the spring flowers come up that are coming, starting to come through. It's all about identifying these things.
Well, I think the other thing as well is that when life does throw you curveballs, you always find a way through it. So even if it was a negative and it wasn't a nice thing, there's always something that you can find in it where you can look at it positively, and think, ultimately, in some way or other, it's probably made me stronger.
Yeah. You say about curveballs and, things that happen out of the blue, and, those sort of things come along all the time. But I think also, if you're kind of with this perception of, coming into the new year, I'm going to do this, this and this, and you've got all these amazing goals. Yes, it's great to set goals, but then they also need to take into account those, that life could throw you curveballs, and, not to then beat yourself up because, this time next year we're saying, I didn't do half the things in 2018 I wanted to do. But also maybe looking at why you didn't do them. Was there some massive family crisis or bereavement or something like that took away 6 months of your year? Because sometimes I think we focus so much on what we haven't achieved and what we haven't done, but also don't bring in those factors to, well, why haven't we done it? We just beat ourselves up totally because we haven't done it, and that's the end of it, whereas it's not, is it?
And they might have happened for a reason, or they might have not happened for a reason. Do you know what I mean? It may have been that, well, actually, I look back and they were my goals, but did I really need those goals? Was I putting that much pressure on myself? And actually, they're not my goals anymore. So sometimes why things not happening can really teach you a big lesson as well, I think.
And I think one of the things that even if you go into a new year and you don't feel that you're ready to set goals, or not necessarily your thing, one of the things you can do is you can have an intention. So your intention for that new year might be that you're going to work on your self-care, for instance. It might be that you're going to develop your business. So sometimes having an intention for that year and that your energy goes into that can be a positive way of looking at it.
That have to be, that's how I've approached this year, Debbie. It's I think I've said it before you joined, is that I've got in my mind a couple of things I want to achieve by the end of the year, and some areas that I want to focus on, but I've not said that I'm going to do it all in January and expect it all to change. I've broken it down into kind of, well, this month I'm going to tackle one thing, next month I'm going to tackle something else. But what I've done is I've got, well, these are the things I want to do over the year, but they're pretty high level, and at some point I'll get to them and break them down into smaller actions. But I haven't put it on myself to try and get it all sorted in January, because I know that's just not achievable, and it allows for those curveballs. There'll be something that might go off of that list of things that I want to achieve this year, but depending on what comes up.
Curveballs can be a good thing, can't they?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. It goes back to what
I never knew that, this chat show came out of a drunken conversation. Well, not a drunken conversation, not too much, which, was good for me, between girlfriends. And basically I sort of said, oh yeah, I've always wanted to do a chat show. 2 days later, I sort of saw that the previous owners of this group that we're in right now chatting, they were going in different directions and didn't want that platform anymore, and I sometimes think, them sort of curveballs you can't see, and had I have had a goal of doing something specific, I might have gone, that this might not have popped into my head, I could do that, that'll be a positive thing.
And also you can sometimes have so much going on, can't you? And so from last year, I say middle of last year maybe, and I had all these goals and I was working towards them, and I just took this step back. I think it was just a couple of weeks ago, and I just thought, I need to get off the merry-go-round for a bit. I just need to stop and be present. And it was like, and I need to do this and I need to do that and I must do this, and I was like actually missing and being present, being in that moment, and actually what is going to happen if I get off this merry-go-round of, I don't mean stopping my business or anything like that, but just the continuous must do this, must do that, and actually stop. And so I've not even from a fitness point of view, but one of the things I really would love to do this year is to start horse riding again. And it's like, you know what, I am going to put that time aside in my diary for me, and I it might not be weekly, even if it's just once every 3 months, but I will go for that horse ride because I want to take that time for me. And my business will still carry on. Do you see what I mean? I probably wouldn't have got any more business in those 3 hours that I might go horse riding. And it's just and it might give me something else.
It's interesting how you mention business though, because I know with me that consumes so much of my energy. You know, I'm so, you know, I've always sort of been entrepreneurial from a young age. My dad's self-employed. I think I kind of got it from him. And I think sometimes then if you look at, you know, my whole life and the business area might not be going so well, or something in that area is not going 100% great, or maybe a goal I had last year I didn't do by the end of the year, so that's disheartened me. But then you then feel your whole life is bad because that one area, you know, whether it be business or your fitness or whatever goal it may be, you know, you kind of think everything's gone to pot. And like you then said, oh, I wouldn't consider shutting my business or anything like that, but I'm sure there are people out there that do get to that point because they just think that is the everything, whatever, you know, that might be their fitness is a really big thing in their life or whatnot, and if that goes wrong then they just want to get rid of everything basically. So
one of the things that when you're running your business, it's having that flexibility, isn't it? So that, you know, one of the things I always say to people, when you set goals, you know, you might change them, and people say, oh, well, no, if I set a goal, but life does sometimes change. I mean, I look back to my goals 2 years ago before my mum moved in with us. So, you know, she's got dementia, and my goals are very different, and I've had to constantly change my goals through the last 2 years. And like Claire, a few weeks ago, I had to sort of stand still and say, actually, I cannot continue to work in the way that I am, because it was bringing stress trying to manage the two aspects of my life. And actually, by changing my focus, my intent, my goals, my whole energy shifted, and I've felt much better about being in control of aspects of my life that I felt I was out of control of. And so sometimes you have to listen to your gut feeling. I think we're not always good at doing that. And actually our gut feeling tells us quite a lot about whether we're tapping into our values in what we're doing, and whether something we're doing is right for us or not. And when I think we start listening to ourselves, we can actually find the solutions there very easily.
And I think that one of the things that I've learned, Debbie, from what you were saying about that, about how life can sometimes lead you to change focus, I think as well, I've found that I've learned things about myself, which have changed how I've approached those goals. So in the same way you're saying, you know, your gut feeling will tell you something. I think that, you know, my gut feeling has realised that I've learned something about how I maybe react to something, or something I'm capable of, or something that somebody's pointed out I'm good at that I hadn't realised before. And those things will change kind of or can change the goals that you've got. You know, it is over time as well.
And I think
I was so hectic in my
situations, you learn so much about yourself. I've probably learned more about myself over the last 2 years than I've learned.
I can relate to that. Yeah.
And I think you really have to look inside yourself when you face challenges. And that's the bad thing, really. You can't always see it when you're in it, but when you're further down the road, you can then see maybe.
Yeah, it's how you learn from the situations, isn't it, I suppose?
And I think that point that Claire made about taking a step back is huge. When I used to mentor, you know, it's one of the things I always used to tell people, because people do get so caught up in the moment and really stressed about it. But actually, if they take a step back and kind of walk away from it, maybe go horse riding for 3 hours or something like that, then you know, you can come back to something a lot fresh. You can, you can. And quite often I find my best ideas about how to deal with a situation personally or within my business come from when I take time out.
And I was realising that I'd lost touch. Debbie mentioned about your gut instinct, and I was realising that I actually wasn't in tune. I wasn't that I could feel something there, but I couldn't identify what it was because I was too busy, you know, and I haven't taken that time. And like you say, that may come just when I'm walking Oliver to school one day. It may come whenever, but it is taking that time, because I'm a huge believer in everything, you know, like Debbie said about listening to your gut. But I was like, but I hear it's trying to tell me something, but I'm not hearing it. I don't know what it's saying. And I just had to just remove myself, almost not take 2 weeks off. I don't mean that, but just reevaluate something. Do I really need to be working, you know, from getting up at 5:30 in the morning until then, and getting Oliver's breakfast, then working until 2 o'clock in the morning? No, I don't need to.
No. Well, my mum will tell you, we went to a spa a few months back. I love the spa. That's my perfect chill out time without the kids, you know. Don't do it very often, but when I do, and literally I woke up at 3 a.m. and remodeled all the businesses and kind of got everything that is there now. And had I not have took that just that week, that was an overnight stay, and I've not taken that, you know, Mum thought I was absolutely crazy. She'll you know, if she look back now, I think, why was I up at 3 a.m. with like my notepad and like frantically, like, and my mum was like,
invigorated,
yeah, but it was. And you know, if that is the thing, if you don't stop and think, and I suppose it's the same with your new year, new you, and the whole goals of the year and that kind of thing, actually stop and think things through rather than actually go full steam ahead, put all these unrealistic expectations in place that you might not then achieve, really. You know, it's kind of being realistic and actually, you know, think them things through logically, and like you say, Claire, take time out, really. Right, I'm just going to have a look at to see what comments we've got here. So Jean makes a good point and says, if we keep doing what you've always done, you will always get what you've always got. And that's true, isn't it? I suppose that's a good one. And what has Angie said here? Julia, with your comment about attitude to change and goals and learning, and with Debbie, if we ignore those signs and our gut, we reach some sort of crisis. Yeah, I've been there, and we know sometimes that time out gives us a fresh perspective. It definitely did. My mum's just put, think you are crazy, Serena. I was awake anyway, lol. Mum suffers badly from insomnia, so she's awake anyway, although I swear she was snoring before I didn't sleep. So you know, whatever. But we're now at 9 o'clock. I know we had a few issues, and I know people are busy and want to go to sleep and whatnot. So I will be, because I feel knackered. The bads from here, but you know,
you've got the camera at the right angle.
It's just that the crown just masks it all.
Is that better, everybody? So I just want to kind of thank you so much for coming on the Launch Show. It's a real delight to be able to host this. So thank you so much for sparing your time to come on and give your perspective. Thank you, everybody who's watching, and feel free to still pop some comments if you've got any questions for any of the guests. Just tag them in, or you know, we'll get them to look through and have a look and respond where possible. Obviously, continue the conversation after this. Share any blogs or information that you might think will be useful for anyone else in the group. I just want to leave you tonight with just if we each of us guests here, just to go through sort of our main point that we want to sort of put out in terms of, you know, the new year, new you thing. You know, the main thing from this conversation that you've taken away, or advice that you'd like to give other people, really. So Julia, if we start with you, because you look very professional in your headwear.
You're saying about us then?
I would have said I looked the most daft for having them on. I think I'm with Debbie. I think in terms of setting intentions and not feeling that you've got to have all of your goals laid out. and be ready for those curveballs. And I think the thing for me is that last year I got to the end of the year and I thought I'm not even really sure what I wanted to have achieved by the end of the year, and I can't remember what happy things happened. And so this year I just want to be a bit clearer about what I want personally from this year, not to put myself under a huge amount of pressure, and to just take things slowly. Not beat myself up. And one of the things I really want to not feel this year is as much guilt, because I don't need to feel guilty about anything. I just, if I've got a happy time with my family, then that's all I need.
Definitely. Claire, how about you?
Thank you. I agree really about the intention thing. I think that's a brilliant way of putting it. But I also think about looking at the positives of what you've already got and how you can actually make those feel better rather than focusing on what you haven't got and what you haven't done. And so, always try and find at least double the amount of good reasons than you can to a bad reason.
Brilliant. And lastly, Debbie, yourself?
Yeah, I mean, a couple of things really. The first thing is we sometimes behave as though everything we do is life and death. Very few things are, and sometimes we need to put things into perspective. And as Claire said, I'm a great advocate of practicing gratitude, and I think if you can find 1 to 5 things a day to feel grateful about, then and you can feel happy with those things, then the bigger things will come really. And most importantly, do things that are fun and make your heart sing. If you can't do those things to start with, then what's life about really?
That's really true. That's really true. Yeah.
I think so. Thank you, everybody. I think for me, I'd like to just leave my main perspective on it. And I suppose the reason I chose this subject as the first topic of the show is basically just to say that surround yourself with amazing people. Surround yourself with people who will lift you up, empower you, support you, not put you down, because you are the only you, and you're pretty awesome. Even if you don't achieve some of the goals that you set, who cares? As long as you've got good friends, some wine and some chocolate, we're all sorted really.
I have the chocolates.
I'm just offering gin.
I'm now going to go open the Prosecco and celebrate, I think.
Yeah, so you should.
Congratulations, Serena.
Thank you ever so much. Thank you.
Thank you,
everybody for watching and bearing with us with the technology. I will learn this as we go along, I'm sure. But thank you, everybody, and obviously carry on the conversation. And we'll see you. The next show is on the 12th of February. I can't believe it's going to be February already. 12th of February, same time, 8 till 9 o'clock in the group, and we are talking about body blues. So I'll put an event and everything up, and we'll carry on the conversation then. All right.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye,
everyone. See you soon.
Bye.